we'll do a little review stuff in a minute. But last class was about parables, Sunday morning. So let me ask you who will be teaching this next quarter. Well, let's pick fourth graders, just for conversation purposes a minute. You got a class and you're teaching fourth graders. How are you going to explain parables to them? Okay, we're talking about a parable is something that you lay along beside something else. You got this thing they understand, or we understand. In Jesus' case, the people understood what a sower was and what he did. So you're going to lay this story down, and you want to get them to understand the lesson. So how you going to do this with fourth graders? Do they know what a sower is and how you sow? We don't see people sowing like that now. I mean, you probably explained it to them what they were, but okay, some of you teachers, how you going to address parables? Anybody? Somebody? Yeah, they might know what a farmer is. Yeah, that standpoint.
Yeah, there's enough agriculture in this area.
This area, they can pick up some of that, don't it? Yeah.
You see it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
The big cotton bales sitting out in the field.
I run by you. See what you think about something like this. All right, most kids know how to ride a bicycle, right? So you're going to illustrate a parable by doing something like this. Okay, you've got somewhere you want to go on your bicycle, and you really, 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 really want to get there. And so you get on your bicycle, and you're just pedaling and pedaling and pedaling and pedaling and pedaling. And you turn the corner of the street, and there's rocks everywhere, and there's limbs, and you got to go around them and through them. And it's just a rough place there. And you keep going, you get out in the country, and you find a place where the road's been totally washed out, and it's water running across the road. And you get off your bicycle, and you carefully get across that spot. You get back on, you just pedal, 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 pedal. They can understand something like that. Now, what's the illustration? Okay, what's the Christian life over here? And you go, 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 and Satan throws the rocks out there, and Satan does this to try to deter you. So, I mean, that's what I've been thinking about this week. How would you do this? I don't know. I don't teach that age group, so I don't know how you deal with them. But some story that they would understand. They don't know what tares are. I mean, you have a hard time explaining that to them. But figure out how you're going to explain parables to your whatever age group you've got next time. I know the younger ones won't pick it up, but some of these older ones can. Okay, thoughts? Anybody? Everybody's quiet tonight, so speak up. Okay, parables. Jesus is teaching Matthew 13. This is full of parables. I'm going to go detail like we did before, Sunday morning. The kingdom of heaven is like, over and over and over and over in this chapter. He went through there. And of course, the parable of the sower we talked about a lot with the physical side here that they understood. Jesus applied it to the spiritual side and the different types of listeners that heard him and how they handled the word. One's produced fruit. Then we've got the one of the tares where you got the wheat, and we looked at the pictures comparing the wheat and the tares and how close together they looked. And they'll belong to the harvest, and then Son of Man's going to have a harvest when that end of the time comes with that, and separate the wheat from the tares, the mustard seed and how it grows, like similar to what Daniel 2:44 is talking about. Leaven placed in a meal spreads out over the whole thing, the growth, the expansion, what it's doing there. And then we have the two with the treasure in the field and selling everything you've got to go get it. And then the pearl, of course, the man seeking a very special pearl, he found it, and he sells everything he's got to go get that pearl. The lesson he's trying to teach from there, what it costs then to be in the kingdom, how important it is, what you've got when you find it, you got the truth, and whatever. And Jesus said, go follow me, take your cross, deny yourself, gain your life while losing your life. Basically what he said. And they had one more where he had the fisherman who cast a net out and had good fish and bad fish, brought to the shore, and they separated them and threw the bad fish away and kept the good ones. End of time, the angels will do the similar type thing. So we ask these questions at the end. You know, am I bearing fruit? Am I producing or not? Am I wheat or am I weeds? Am I in here looking just like the wheat, trying to mix in with it? Or am I real wheat? I'm spreading the gospel like the leaven. I got the hidden treasure. I got the pearl of great price. What am I doing with it? A fish is going to be kept or it's going to be rejected. Where am I? Where do I fit in all this stuff? And then we talked about the end. What's going to happen at the end is based on what we're doing now. The importance of that. All right. That was really quick. Moving into tonight. Here we go. Again, we got 3 or 4 different places in the Synoptic Gospels. John's not involved yet. We won't get that for a little while. Where these same stories are recorded by the different writers. And some have more detail than others and put extra pieces in that others don't put in. So you kind of mesh them all together to get the details of some of these things. I don't know how many of you that are teaching will be using any kind of PowerPoint stuff or whatever. This is a really good map if you want to get a copy sometime and use it. It shows the Sea of Galilee and where they think different things occurred over it. So tonight we'll have Capernaum up there, and here's the boat coming down. And there's a lot of debate between were they going to Gadara here or to the land of the Gergesenes up here. And I'll show you a video in a minute from Appia Media. It's going to be the one up here on the eastern side, which seems like that's where most people are now pointing, thinking where they actually went was over there and not down here, even though I've got some other maps that are going to show them coming down here. But feeding the 4,000 we get later and other events that occurred around the Sea of Galilee. This is a good map to show, illustrate those places there. If you got age group that's big enough to understand the map. So, Sea of Galilee, a lot of storms, sudden storms that would come up. You got mountains on the eastern side, looks like this. The sea itself is about 680 feet below sea level. The Jordan Rift Valley comes down through there. We know the Dead Sea's, 1,300, 1,400 feet below sea level. So here's 680 feet below sea level with the Sea of Galilee. So the winds come down, cool air off the mountains, down through the valleys, onto this moisture of the lake there, falling down through the hills, and it causes storms on the Sea of Galilee a lot. So it's not unusual for that. This is a boat similar to one. They actually, in 1986, I think it was, the water was down and they found a boat that dated back to biblical times. And this is a replica of that boat. 45.5 feet long, 7.5 feet wide. Designed to hold about 15 people plus 4 oarsmen and a helmsman. So 15 to 20 people would only be in this boat like this. So that's what we expect Jesus and the apostles were in. It would be something like this coming across the Sea of Galilee. Nice and calm at times. From Trent and Rebecca, this picture is here. So it's evening time. They've had a long day. So Jesus said, let's get in the boat and go to the other side. And this map here shows them coming down to this harbor as opposed to the one up there at Kershaw, which we'll see more in a minute. This is actually that one. This is looking for the west side across the Sea of Galilee. The way it saw will be back down this way. This is straight across to the east side, Kershaw. This is where more than likely it seems that this event may have occurred here. Storms come in. This is pictures from the early 1900s. The storms come in on the Sea of Galilee. So, had a long day. And they're crossing. Jesus is resting this evening time. And Mark notes that there are other boats with him. When he left, he got in the boat and left. Mark said there are other boats along with him. So, I don't know who it was or what's involved there. But the storm comes up and the disciples are afraid, fearful. In fact, they wake up Jesus and say, don't you care if we perish? And before we get the song, we sing, Master, the tempest is raging. And they were afraid in the boat. Don't you care if we perish here or not? So keep in mind who these people were. Peter, Andrew, James, and John. What's their profession? Fishermen. Where they been? Remember when Jesus talked to them about, you've been out fishing all night? And Peter said, we caught nothing. So it's not unusual for them to be on the Sea of Galilee at night fishing, but they're afraid. It says waves are coming in and covering the boat. boats fill them with water. So they're afraid. The word Matthew uses, a great tempest, actually comes from this word, I don't know how you pronounce it, seismos megas, which really means a great shaking. That's where we get our word seismograph, that we measure earthquakes. So that's the word Matthew uses in his gospel to describe the storm that came up. So it seemed like it's not an ordinary, everyday type storm we had here. So here's the calm. Jesus wakes up. They get him up. And he rebukes the waves. There's a calm. Speaking to the waves and the wind, just like it was a person. Be still, calm. Calm yourself. And they did. So here's now it's got both places on it. This one down to the south side and one straight across over there. Again, like that. So now they arrive after Jesus calms the storm to the eastern side of the sea. They're approached then by some of the writers indicate there's one. Others, I guess Luke has got two there. Maybe two and one did the speaking, so therefore he picked up and wrote about one of them. Lived out in the hills by themselves, cut himself with stones, broke chains, almost like a wild man, if you will, out away from civilization there. But when Jesus arrived on the shore, now, go stop a minute, and we'll make this point in a minute here, but stop before we do. Jesus has been on the eastern side, on the western side of the Sea of Galilee. Who lives in Galilee primarily? Jews, right? Now he's going to the other side. Who's over there? Not Jews. Okay. So he's right over here, and other than what word might have spread there about him, they don't know him like the people on the other side would. So keep that in mind. But this man with the demon comes up, falls down, and says, the Son of the Most High God. The Son of the Most High God. Recognizes Jesus. The demons says, he asked his name, it says, his name is Legion, because we are many. And they beg Jesus then, and this is about demons and what they can do. Beg Jesus, don't send us to the abyss. We'll talk about that more just in a minute. Rather, said, send us in this big herd of swine that's over here. Now again, would you see a big herd of swine on the other side of the Sea of Galilee? No. Unclean animal to the Jews, they wouldn't be around it, whatever. So it's about 2,000 of them ran down into the sea and were drowned. The people of the city come out. You got to think about the scene now. Here's this man, they know it's been a wild man, living in the tombs, cutting himself, breaking chains, physical strength, can't bind him. And he's sitting there now, clothed and calm. And they don't see him, seems like. They see their pigs that are gone. He chooses to leave. And if you just cause 2,000 pigs to go get in the sea and drowned, that's probably several dollars to those folks. Food, money. So they asked him to leave. Then, of course, the man wants to go with him. Jesus said, no, you go spread the word. So the thing goes all around through Decapolis. Decapolis is the area over on the other side of the Sea of Galilee. Actually, Deca, 10. There's 10 cities that lead together to make up Decapolis, primarily inhabited by Greeks, not Jews, as you would have on the other side of the sea. The pigs. So here's the herd. This is on the scene from there, the harbor, with the mountain. I don't know what you finished, pictured in your mind. I've always pictured this scene as a cliff. And these 2,000 pigs are running down and off the edge of the cliff and into the water. And that doesn't seem like what happened, based on what we see in this picture and what we're going to see in the video here just in a minute. But they did run down the hillside, did across a plain area, it looks like, and then into the sea, based on the landscape that's there. So I'm gonna stop. This is about 4 minutes. Won't take long to go through it. But that you actually see the land there from the pictures that they've made there. So it should be loaded up right here, ready to run. This is Barry and Jeremy.
Miracles of Jesus. And there's a place over here on the eastern side of the Sea of Galilee that you're taking us. What miracle do you
That's because I went big screen. How did that happen? There we go.
This is the miracle of Jesus casting the demon into the swine. It's like what occurred. We know this event happened directly on the Sea of Galilee because we know that the swine ran down the sea to make it into the sea.
It's on the eastern side.
Jeremy would come to the eastern side of the Sea of Galilee and kind of climb the hill a little bit. And I did that because I wanted to read a passage. They came to the other side of the sea, the country of the Gerasenes. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tomb a man with an unclean spirit. And of course, we know this story as a story in which Jesus had compassion on the gentleman and healed him of his demons. Now, this is a really famous story. This is a man that is possessed by legion. And the other gospel accounts let us know that there were 2 men that were healed that day. It was during that trip over here from Capernaum when Jesus calmed the storm. And as soon as he finished healing this man, they asked him to leave, and so he sailed right back. He came over here for 2 Gentile men across the stormy sea, which I think speaks a lot to the compassion of Jesus. We know that he cast this demon out of the man and into a herd of pigs, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the sea back into the sea and drowned into the sea. And of course, you can kind of picture that whole story happening right here. It's not just a cliff that goes to the edge of the water. There was a considerable distance, at least a few hundred yards, between the bottom of the embankment and the water's edge. That just changes how I've always imagined that. That herd of swine would have rushed down this really steep hill, gone across this flat area, and then run into the sea. Normally, an animal has a sense of self-preservation. And so even though it may have survived running down a steep embankment, it would have stopped in flames, as these thousands of pigs did, which further attests to the fact that there was something controlling them other than himself. Jesus performed signs that demonstrated that he was from God, that he had control over everything and everyone, even spiritual forces like demons. You know, the details at the beginning of Mark's account of this event are really helpful because they let us know the desperate condition that this man was in. He was separated from his family. He was living in the graveyard. He was basically living as a dead person. He was out of his mind, out of control. He was hurting himself, showing these signs of deep distress. And Jesus takes care of all of those things. So when the people come back out, he's sitting, he's clothed, he's in his right mind. It would have been a startling and a shocking sight for the people to come out of town and to see the aftermath of those animals drowning, and to see someone who they had tried to help for so long finally healthy and in his right mind. And something that's emphasized down through the text is the begging that takes place. When Jesus gets there and Legion recognizes Jesus, he begs Jesus to spare him. And then later on, you have the townspeople begging Jesus to leave them because they're afraid of him. And then you have the man who's been healed begging to go with Jesus, the man who's finally helped him. And I think what Mark is trying to help us do in that chapter is to challenge us with how are we going to respond? Are we going to be so afraid of him that we beg him to leave like they did, or are we going to respond as the healed man and beg to stay close to him because of what he does for us?
Okay. Hope that helped explain it a little bit. I'll get back to my PowerPoint now. All right. Function Shift F5 to pick us back up there. Okay. Anybody got more thoughts on that particular story, the events, crossing the sea, the storm, the man here with the demons? There's a slide. I got asked in one of the texts or something about what we read about demons and what they did to people, the effect they had on them, and things like that. As we've been through some of these stories we've already had here, demons have been involved with deaf people, dumb, epileptic, insane, negative physical strength. Jesus talked to the demons. He actually could have a conversation there with Legion. They knew who Jesus was. They recognized him. They fell before him, recognized him as the Son of God. They understood the abyss. Don't send us into the abyss. Revelation chapter 20 and verses 1, 2, and 3 are interesting from this standpoint. Listen to what it's talking about. It says, then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, that serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up. Set a seal on him so he could not deceive the nations anymore, etc. So the devil here, the bottomless pit, the abyss, the thing of Escalus. Don't send us into the abyss. Send us into the pigs. They stay it there.
I think it's good to remember passages like James 2, verse 19. They just didn't know who he was. They believed. James says, even the demons believe and they tremble. So it's more than they knew who they did, but they also believed who he was.
James 2:19. If making notes for your teaching stuff there. Satan's called the prince of the demons. We've covered, I think, this already. And this power, this strength beyond the normal human strength that they would have. Just a few characteristics of the demons that we've seen so far. All right, they go back then from whichever port it was back to Capernaum, as Jeremy said there in the thing. And they see this man named, and I've heard all kinds of pronunciations of this name. So I looked it up today to see how I can find it there. And Jair is to rhyme with Chair, Jair, according to this one pronunciation I saw. So Jairus would be the way they pronounced it here. Looked it up. Jairus, we hear it called a lot of times. But he's a ruler of the synagogue. And we've seen pictures a couple of times of the synagogues here in Capernaum. Synagogues, from what I read, were controlled by think about the church with the eldership, like a group of men, elders, Jewish elders, that would be over the synagogue. He was one of those men in that position there. So keep that in mind as you think about him. How many of the Jewish leaders, I'll use that word to quote here, have accepted Jesus so far that we know about? I don't really think much anybody has. So here's this ruler of the synagogue, though, that comes to Jesus. Why? Because he's desperate, right? Think about what's going on here with him. So they've crossed back over. Jairus comes to him. His 12-year-old daughter is sick. One passage, one of the writers says that she's dead. She's already dead when he comes there. But very sick. He cast Jesus in to come and heal her. So he had a lot of faith, a lot of confidence in what Jesus could do. Jesus agreed to go with him. There's a big multitude going with him there. So as they go into Jairus' house, then people all around him. This woman's there, and she's been sick for 12 years. Spent all she had on doctors. Trying to get well. It's interesting kind of how Luke recounts all this, being a physician himself. But she had faith that if she could just touch Jesus' garment, his clothes, she'd be healed. So in that crowd, she got to where she could do that. As she touched his garment, and when she did, Jesus stopped. He said, who touched me? He knew something had happened. He knew the power had gone from him. And of course, his disciples are saying, well, what do you mean? We're in a crowd, we're bumping each other all the time, bumping back and forth. What do you mean, who touched you type thing? And so the lady, then fearful of what might happen, comes. This is a drawing, a picture of her trying to touch the hem of his garment. So she comes, falling down at Jesus' feet, and you see her kind of poured her whole heart out here of what's happened, what she's done, why she did it, how she felt about it, and the fact that as soon as she touched him, she was healed. But Jesus told her, your faith has made you well. Her faith that if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be made well. So while he was speaking to her, messengers came from Jairus' house and said, don't trouble the master anymore. The girl's dead. So look at what Jesus told him. Now just keep in mind what he just told the lady that he had touched his garment. Your faith has made you well. What's he turned into Jairus then? Believe. Believe. You know, they've come and told you she's dead. Just believe. Obviously, he believed to start with because he came by Jesus to go with him. That was to heal her. Now she's dead. Jesus says, okay, just believe. So when they get there are people there mourning. Some of the commentators would say they actually hired mourners, professional mourners to come. And that's why they laughed and scorned at Jesus when he came in there, that was something common to do there. Jesus said, don't worry about it. She's only sleeping. And they laughed at him for saying that. So he took the parents and Peter, James, and John, the three of his inner circle, and went in to where the girl was and told her to get up. And immediately she did. And she walked around and he told them to give her some food. Notice again how long it took from the time he told her. We've underlined this word over and over. Immediately, 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 immediately. When Jesus healed someone, it happened right then. So there's another artist's conception of Jesus going into the little girl, child, get up. Now we got 2 or 3 more then that are mentioned. There's this blind man that cries out, just passing by, and he cries out to him, have mercy on us. Actually, I think there's 2 blind men. Have mercy on us, O Son of David. Now, this is Matthew writing this one again. We pointed out several times already Matthew's use of the term Son of David. Son of David, that's how he starts his gospel out here. So they go to the house where Jesus is, and he asks them, do you believe that's who I am? Do you believe I am the Son of David? The one that's prophesied to be here as the Messiah, the Son of David. Do you believe I am he? And based on their positive reply then, he touched their eyes. And again, according to your faith, let it be done to you. This is the 3rd time we've seen this mentioned. Now, faith coming in. Trust in who he is. You believe. And then we get another healing. Matthew records had a demon brought into him, and the devil was cast out and he could speak. And this is the point here. And this one is they said nothing like this has been seen in Israel before. Nothing like this. Remember when Jesus did the Sermon on the Mount, how it closed out? Spoke with authority like nobody else ever had before. Well, now it's the same thing with this healing here. They're seeing things they've never seen before. Of course, the Pharisees are there with the same accusation they had before. The lesson that we had back here, that you're casting out demons by the prince of demons. So we're going to get finished early tonight, so you better think about something you talk about. I got about 2 more slides here, and we're going to be done. So what's in this for us? Who can this man be? Who is this? Who can this be? The apostles now have been with Jesus for a year at this time. And I don't think they were with him 24/7. I mean, constantly, all the time. But are with him enough that they know what he can do, who he is, his teaching. So keep that in mind. They have been with him now for a long period of time. All the miracles they have seen, the blind see, the lame walk. It's that list he gave John's disciples when they came and asked him. These guys have witnessed this. They've seen it now for this long period of time. I heard Jesus teach. They on the Sea of Galilee at night when the storm came up. And again, we mentioned this earlier. It wasn't unusual. Peter talked about having been out fishing all night. But not the first storm they've seen. Why were they so It's before I get. They had been with Jesus all this time and seen what he could do. Why were they so afraid?
Same with us.
Do what?
Just short-sighted.
Yeah.
We don't always see God's entire plan, how he's protected us time and time again, and how he's done things for us time and time again. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the here and now, the one little thing that we're dealing with, we don't step back and see everything else God's already done for us. If we go to him in prayer, he's going to take care of us.
There. What did they see him do? Heal the deaf people, the blind people. People. What's he got dealing with now? Nature. Different? Is that why they were so fearful? Had they seen him do anything at this point that I don't remember that was over nature? But let's look at it a minute. What about that? Master, we're perishing. Why are you so fearful? He asked him. That word fearful here is cowardly. Why are you so afraid of what's going on here? He arose and rebuked the wind and the raging water. They ceased, and there was a calm. Calm. And he asked them then, where's your faith? Where's your faith? You've been with me all this time. Where's your faith? What Paul said here. Lord, but deliver me from every evil work and preserve me for his heavenly kingdom. Paul's faith compared to these at this point. So, who can this be that even the winds and the waves obey him? Who is he? Well, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 and think a minute. Who is he? God said, in the midst of the waters, that divided the waters from the waters, God made the firmament, divided the waters from under the firmament, the waters above the firmament. It was so. Skip down then to verses 9 and 10. And let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place. The dry land appear. It was so. Called the dry land earth. And this water together they call sea, as in Sea of Galilee, perhaps. Okay, think about that. And God saw it was good. Now, what's that got to do with it? Go down to verse 26. Who made the seas? Remember what he said? Let us make man. What did John say in his gospel? In the beginning was the Word. Who made these various seas and winds and nature that he's now calming? They didn't see it, like Jeremiah said. They didn't see that. They didn't see that he was there. Why? That's all they see. They'd be so surprised when he calmed the waters like that. Remember later on what Peter and Jesus are going to do? They walk on it. And again, they get in the boat and the wind ceases. Jesus' power not over just what he can do for them, but even over nature here. And in this next instance, we haven't got to yet here, at the boat, and they fall out and worship him and say, truly you are the Son of God. It's just, we ain't quite got there yet, okay? That's where we're headed. They will recognize who he is. And so when storms hit us, who can this be? Who can this be? Who is he? Okay, I'm finished. You got 3 or 4 minutes. Jeff, let's go. Just jump in here. You always got something to say. See, while you were out Sunday, Judith and Jeff both made several comments, and now they're gone tonight, so you have to come back and fill in. So. Thoughts from anybody about what we talked about tonight? Jesus is trying to do what? He's trying to build their faith, trying to get them to understand what's going to happen. 2 years from now, he's going to be gone. It's going to be up to them to carry the load.
One quick note on this.
Sure.
To anybody who's been on a plane and felt the unexpected turbulence start, there is a natural reaction of the body
Mm-hmm.
when things starts getting out of. So I see this almost as Jesus expected them, teaching them, expects us, teaching us to actually say his power is stronger than that. But that takes some self-control
Mm-hmm.
to stop the body when the body goes into panic mode. And I think even in the storms, there's no reason to think their physical bodies would not go into panic mode. That, you know, that fight or flight instinct that's put into you by nature,
When you say a sudden storm came up,
when a
Yeah,
sudden storm kicked up, the same as a certain turbulence. And I just think that's probably something, I don't know, there's many boat riders in here,
Yeah.
but you know, there's probably people who have been on one. Yeah.
one back in the corner. So, yeah, that fearful reaction. Because I'm out of control. I don't have control of what's
I
going
have no
on.
control.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So we all fear that.
Can I control my body enough to say,
Yeah.
God's got it?
We got to turn back to Jeremy's point. Don't lose sight.
They should have seen, or at least known of him controlling the water, this first miracle.
Yeah, right. I sure did. I left that out of my thought process. He did. Turn the water to wine. So that was a miracle that was not involved a person per se. Good point. Okay. We got one class left. That's it. No, 2 classes left. So we got one more lesson, and then we got Kevin's thing. And by the way, teachers, I've got one email so far with some lesson points in it. Those we're teaching next quarter. I would really like some help. This last class. Share with others. This is supposed to be a class for teachers. What do you see? What are you going to teach? What are some points you're going to make?
What was the details of that assignment again?
Look at your text. Did you get my text messages? I sent one out yesterday. It's got it all detailed in it. Yeah. It's got a link.
You're talking about Google?
Yeah, get Google link. Should take you to one of my Google Drive pages. Got it detailed out. So, yeah.